passionately, pursuing my purpose, pursuing my purpose. I know I can, I know you can, cause you are Chinangwa, you can now go ignite. We changing lives, young people's lives. I know I can, I know you can, cause you are Chinangwa, you can.
Feelings or mood. This is how you feel, this is how your mood. Am I a jovial person? It's a strength, I'm jovial. Do I like interacting with people when I see them? No, I'd rather I don't see them. For instance, it's a weakness, right? Then you can also assess your strengths based on your gifts or your talents. So I'll just put them in one bracket, gifts and talents. So for instance, speaking is a talent. Writing is a talent, and it goes on. You can assess your strengths and your weaknesses in that way. So now, so to explain that, I'm going to use this because my acronym is CHAIR, which is a chair. So allow me to see it as I explain this acronym. So if you want to identify your strengths, the first C, okay, I'll just give you the acronym again so that you're able to write it. It's chair. CHAIR. Right. So if you want to assess your strengths, the first thing that you do is you become curious. Curiosity. That is the first C. So curiosity means, I'll explain it in this way. We grow up in a society, I was listening to a talk to us about upbringing. We grow up in a society that's a bit rigid or a bit linear, whereby you are told, go to university, okay, let's start with high school, go to school and then, proceed to university, get a degree, work in this kind of a job, and etc., etc. We grow up in a rigid society. And if you look at the way our society is, it's very hard to be curious. It's really hard. Because for instance, if I'm going to high school and I'm doing arts, for me, I begin to identify myself in a certain way. I have to be maybe bubbly or whatnot, right? It's only now with this generation that you probably have people who are doing it's a cross combination. Okay, maybe someone is doing maths, they're also doing literature. It's only now that we're exploring. But what if we grew up in a society which allowed us to be curious? Curiosity is like this, for instance, that I can do. Curiosity is, well, I've always wondered how it would be like to be a dancer, a professional dancer. When you sign up for dance classes, you're being curious, then you go. You're trying to see how it goes if you become a dancer. Does that mean that you cannot also become a professional, a lawyer like me, and go to court, litigation, things like that? Absolutely not. But we are told that lawyers have to be a certain way, so we are not taught to be curious. So when I say be curious, I mean come up with 10 things that you just feel like, I should try this before. Okay, not before I come. Let's use that. That is such a silly word. But let's just use it for the purposes of this meeting. So I want you to come up with 10 things that you say, I just want to try this out. Try out yoga for fun and start. Try out Zumba. Try out dancing, as I said. Sign up for karate class. Try out English speaking, what, to become proficient. Try out computers. Ask your family members. Ask people that you associate with. Ask everyone. Ask them, what do you think I'm good at? What do you think I would be most, what do you think? They, like she was saying before, of course sometimes people compliment you negatively and say, wow, this. But I also think even in those negatives, you should turn them into positives. If they say, yes, you know what, you're so what you did, and then every time you're argumentative and everything else. So yes, when you ask, please don't attack people. When someone says you're very patient, it's fine, I'm impatient, I could probably pull your hair or your braids, but it's fine. I'm still in the asking process. I want to understand myself better so that I can use it. When people then now say I'm impatient, how can I use it? When people say maybe I'm like this and this and this, how can I use it to my advantage? In English, I need to do 1, 2, 3. Intention is very important. Because many of the people that you see today, that you emulate, that you say, I want to be be like this girl, I want you to be like this gentleman. They learned how to things like that. So you need to start to pay attention. This is not part of the acronyms. I just want to touch a little bit on the weaknesses. You need to pay attention on your triggers. This has to do with weaknesses that have to do with your moods and your feelings and just like how you interact with everyone else. You need to start to pay attention to your mood and your triggers. Like for instance, there are people that don't handle it well when people are late, for instance. Right? Maybe you come here and then people are supposed to be here maybe at 1, and then people are late, they get here at 1:30. You become impatient. It's a weakness, right? So you need to start to pay attention to yourself more in general. That's how you discover both strengths, weaknesses, and things like that. Pay attention to yourself. We live in a society whereby we're taught to discredit our emotions. Like for instance, if I'm thinking, this girl, I don't like her, how do I make it disappear? People will send me to counseling because they're thinking I'm harmful to society, right? For instance, why would I even be thinking? But before we learn to discredit our emotions, we need to learn to accept and to recognize that they're there. If I identify that this person bothers me, if I take time, maybe I can find a better solution of dealing with it. But at first I have to acknowledge that, to be honest, this person bothers me. Yes, I am Christian, what, spirit-filled, whatnot. But to be honest, I hate this girl. Acknowledge that. Don't allow the society that we've been brought up in to confine you to become a person who does not acknowledge their feelings or their emotions. Because if you are like that, it's hard for you to discover anything, whether your strengths or your weaknesses. Why? Because before you acknowledge something, you're already trying to draw away with it. How can I overcome? Before you overcome, you actually have to understand that there's something that needs to be overcome. That is your weakness. So allow yourself that time. Give yourself that leeway to say, you know what? I don't like the neighbors. I don't like doing chores. I don't like this and this. Like I was saying in the previous example, that's how you can invent the next big thing. But just acknowledging, to be honest, I don't like chores. Oh, at least there was a way that I couldn't do them. I was on the internet and I saw the story of the man. But if you don't acknowledge your feelings and your emotions and everything that happens to you, you end up then you won't be able to do that. Because you'll be telling yourself, no, you need to be stronger, you need to do better, you need to be like this. Before you're stronger, doing better, do you actually understand what it is that bothers you? That just puts you off, things that you don't like, because you never know what it will lead you to. And then lastly, coming back to my acronyms, I want to tell you that the best way to discover your strengths, your weaknesses, and everything else is the last R. You know what the last R is? I want you to learn to live with reality. Reality is telling yourself what I was just explaining before. In as much as it's good to change yourself, to upgrade yourself, to better yourself, there are things about you that you cannot change. There are things about your family that you cannot change. There are things about Zimbabwe as a whole, as a nation, that you cannot change. For instance, I get really frustrated by traffic when I'm going to work in the morning. I really get frustrated. But you know what? I cannot change that. I need to accept that, okay, there's traffic in the morning, what can I do so that I can get to work at 7:30 when the television is the time that I'm supposed to be there. So if you are someone who lives in the now, and as much as you plan for the then, it becomes easier for you to identify your strengths and your weaknesses. Because you're not biased to the point whereby you say, someone was talking, I was coming from a grooming and etiquette something, and someone said this, dress for the body that you have now, not for the body that you wish you had. And I was just thinking to myself that how many times do we address ourselves and plan and become bitter based on who we want to become versus who we are now. If who I am now is me, probably maybe you are 18, 19, 20 or whatever age you are, you don't have a car, or you do have a car but sometimes you don't have fuel, so you park the car. That's where you are now. Start with where you are now. Before you start giving yourself pressure for who you want to become, how the next person has gotten to who they want to where they are. For you to identify your strengths and to identify your weaknesses. I want to leave this with you. Live in the now. And then figure out that the rest later. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Individual thing, but that's the motto of Ignite. So now we are going to call upon the Ignite man himself, Cosmo, to just elaborate on strengths, weaknesses, and the relationship with them, and passion and purpose. Cosmo.
Once we start Ignite himself. Alright. What I say? I think I'm a bit nervous. It's been long since I have stayed with P1. But it has always also been my passion. But over the years, as my experiences are one of them, but at the end of the day, the reason why I'm also mixing Shona and English is because funny fish at all try to food that is so weakness. And to be ignited in the salad. But ignite him and it actually comfortable. And it's one guy who will alright. So in English I put out who are you? What is what? Your purpose. So I mean my strengths and weaknesses. So you need to know and so I hope somebody will be inspired and also someone will do something about their lives. What happened is, as I was growing up, I think Pakaita peak about what I want to be. Kumeruku. Peak, it was 2009. I'm glad that what I wanted to be, I wrote it down. 2009, I wrote it down. It's a new date, new time. So these are the aspects of my life that I wrote down. Achieve more pain. And one of the aspects was cards when they also wrote. Then I actually listed down the kind of a person that I was, the ideal wife. I also wrote the kind of wedding that I wanted to have. The other thing that I wrote was, this is 2009, I also wrote an organization that I wanted to start. So ndakanyora vision, ndakanyora mission, ndakanyora my objectives. And she says, so what happened? There was one of my pastors, that time I was in Italy, and I was in form 6, I think. Yeah, form 6. Then these are my life plans. I'm looking to achieve this in the next 5 years. So it was the organization that I wanted to start. You can see, have you joined other organizations? In my youth, it was a youth organization. I actually named it Youth Acceleration. You can see, my youth organization that I started. You can see, the thing is, in Zimbabwe, I'm sure in the street, my organizations, there is a lot of duplication of Zikungwetu. Look at my youth empowerment programs. It's just a duplication. And you need to be able to fill in a gap. That is how you're going to make impact. And so it was also helping me to discover my strengths and my weaknesses. I'm an accountant by profession. So what's happening now? When I celebrate, you know, the 10-year challenge. How many remember it? If you took a picture in 2009, near 2019, then we'll post it on Facebook. How many remember that? Yeah. So my personal 10-year challenge. Remember, I was writing things in 2009. Then in 2019, that is why when did I join Ignite? That was 2019, yeah. 2019, somewhere around March. What happened when I joined Ignite? I started to see a reflection of the organization that I got. My vision, my mission, actually all the objectives that I got were actually the programs of Ignite. So to me, that became my 10-year challenge. And I was really impressed and encouraged that I'm actually living my purpose as a young man. So those are didn't Ignite. My accounting expertise, by the way, I joined Ignite as the events coordinator. I was coordinating my events. Then I was graduating as we were going. So what happens is, you talked about volunteering. You talked about asking. I went and asked about my mentor, this is what I want to do. Is it feasible? Then this is the guideline that he gave me. Go and join other youth organizations, see how best you can fit in, and see if there is any gap, then I would allow you to start your own organization. So that has been the process of my life. One of my strengths as well is I'm patient and I'm calm. A lot happens when you're planning an event. So people start to panic, and the person will be calm and say, guys, don't worry. And so I've seen those trends through the experiences that I've had. I'm a person, like you have rightly explained, who wanted to try everything. I have a passion for music. So as a way to learn more about music, I actually started a musical group. And we did about 5 concerts. And my concerts I and I actually groomed some young people to do music professionally. There's a guy in our group, as a keyboard, but his name is one of the main keyboard person in Celebration Church. So that was the way I grew into my passion. So my passion now, or my purpose rather, I would want to call it my purpose, is to serve young people. But this is how I've done it. I've gone to what my accounting degree is doing to me now, it's actually opening up doors and avenues to where my passion is. Remember I said I joined as an events coordinator, coordinating events, it's a youth organization. And my passion and my purpose is to serve the young people. So chese chandinoita chiri kubatsirwa ne accounting degree. Planning an event, you need to have some expertise in what they call vendor rating. You need to know where to get what cheap. And so accounts teaches you that. Accounts also teaches you to budget, to do my budgets and all that, also to negotiate with clients. So that is also been opening doors for me to serve the young people. I was very much community. Friends, they are a very big component in who we are. They actually would shape who we are. Again, my friends. My brother whom I lived. My brother, we are almost like a family. So what happened? So the kind of dressing, it was almost as identical as him. The way I would speak, it tasted no figure mistakes. Though I always made that so what happened is, he was somebody who was inspirational to me, and he actually groomed me to be the person I am. So as me that I have when doing some things. As me namama iwo avasisipo. Saka he knows kuti munhu aakasiya in charge ari kumba is responsible. So he actually helped me in the process of discovering myself. He has always channeled me to be a person who reads. So always he would constantly buy books for me to read. Always he would ask me, and how would you apply it in your day-to-day life? And so I've also touched an aspect of reading. I bought it for $10, I think. But no. It's called Pursuit of Purpose. It's also adding value to what I am actually doing. So reading can also help you in the process of discovering yourself. You are not alone. Panews wataura kuti handisanda kuziya purpose yangu. Tikada kubvunzana munhu unogona kuti half or 3/4 of the people in here, they actually don't know their purpose. But I believe that every one of us has been designed with a purpose. It's more like the world and yakaita unge jigsaw puzzle. So when you were created, you were actually created as a jigsaw piece, whereby you kana ustoripo but the jigsaw puzzle then the puzzle will not be will not be complete. So one thing that I can also encourage you to do is to invest in reading, is to invest in books. And paskana musanyanyoerenge sterenge iverengai, but musanyanyoerenge mafiction. Also read these kinds of fiction are right because they also refresh your mind. Inini kana chida refresh mind yangu, I listen to music. So some people they read my novels just to get the interesting parts of what other things. But also invest in my books and without which I say utozo kwanisa discover yourself. So going to friends now. Andina munhu andinoti best friend. Laura, you see. What I've managed to do is to have people who actually help me or support me in my purpose. So and I actually learn different things or different stuff from those guys. Ignite team, one of the advantage or one of my success story or one of the stories that I can tell for Ignite is good. It was a platform for me to get friends. And friends who have made me to be ambitious, who have made me to move from a level of somebody who was deemed to be shy, somebody who unless I can't so fit over never change my motor and and if I Ignite I took the positive side of Masala to Ignite. And so what happened is I'm not and change me what my friends did. But I actually developed this character equity. I have to influence what my friends did. And this is one funny discussion and on social media. You could see kune vanhu vakaranzwa kuti vanokwira makombi vachida kuenda same level. Voburukira a bit of a distance from same level. Zvasaonekwa kuti arikubuda mukombi. Ofamba kuita kunge auya nemota. You know, those are pressures that sometimes you'll be getting from the friends from school. Inini same level yacho takatoiendawo tikati munhu futi ari ambitious. Ndinoda kuti kuri kuendwa nevamwe vanhu ndiite ndiende ndimboona kuti kwakambonera sei. You know, I've heard of Prestige, same level movie house. So I took my girlfriend there. Tikaona movie yedu tikati popcorn yedu tikabuda tikazona ndozvamakaita. You know, we have always had this habit when we are celebrating each other's birthday. But all these things I've been learning from my friends. I've been hearing them out from my friends. So shamani dzauchaita ndodzichakubatsira in the process of discovering what your purpose. Saka ukaona timu rinongoziya ishisha chete manje. Panomunoita dambudziko. handizivi hangu kuti chii chinonakidza pashisha, ndangononge mutombo wechirungu. Anyway, it's fine. It's up to you to go shisha with your friends and do all those stuff. But for me, hazvisi zvinhu zvinondipa pressure steering. If we are going for shisha, then let that help me to discover who I am and what I should be. And particularly shisha, let's help each other to know our purpose of living. And izvozvo ndo zvichatotibatsira futi pa-mental health yedu. So whatever topics that we have been discussing today, it's also very important on our mental health issues. I know I've mixed a lot of concepts and ideas, but what I was trying to do is to help you in the process of discovering who you are. One thing that I've also recently discovered about myself is kuti chese chandotengesa chinotengwa. Izvezvi vanhu vaundiziva nerimwe zita ndakutonzi an Apple product dealer. So kana uchida chinhu cheApple chaicho chakachena, vanhu vanozomutengesera zvinhu zvima Apple product. You know, it's very difficult to Apple product ikabiwa unobatwa. Saka vanhu vakawanda vari kubatwa nenyaya idzodzo. So inini manje ndakutozikanwa kutotengesa zvinhu zvakaita zvakachena. I've actually recently discovered it through another friend of mine who had given me those gadgets to sell. So she says, please, I'm sure you picked out something. This is a process that I've been living, something that has been practical, and I've also been taking notes of what like she had rightly put it. But Fernandi Chita go through that, I've actually seen. So I don't know if there is anyone who has a question, who has an ask, or a contribution. Bit of it, I was actually working to pay fees for myself. I remember the chema kuvhungudza ndatoshairwa mari kuti ndipedzise mari, but all the same here I am. So also always learn to have a habit of writing things down. For me, it always has been encouraging me to say I actually have a purpose of living when I start to tick those things out. I've actually accomplished. So whenever I think of ending my life, or whenever I think of committing suicide, I always go back to my 10-year challenge and look at the things that I wrote down.
Do you actually think of committing suicide?
For me, I've never thought of committing suicide. But I've had experiences like having people close to you having those suicidal thoughts. And I've actually managed to help them overcome those suicidal thoughts. So they have been reading. So zvinopedzisira zvagara zvese mupfungwa. At the end of the day, suicidal thought ikauya, wakufunga music, wakufunga movie. Yeah.
Thank you for your thoughts of suicide, but maybe since you say you've never been there, I think it's important to hear what a person has been in that lane thinks. You can think of a song, you can think of a book, you can think of anything. Kind of writing, you have to search within. Morning was that I failed at a suicide attempt. So what I told myself at that time, I want to think about the things I love, what I love doing for myself. And I want to get to this realm that only I can comprehend. I mean, it's about me after all. I mean, this thing called me, myself, and I, it's like a couch, a love triangle, the eighth wonder of the world. No one knows me, I know myself. And every day in my life, I'm striving towards that. Energy comes from within. And I've been low, but right now I'm proud of myself, though I'm not there yet. Saka chaga from within you, so there is some light in you whenever you're in a dark space.
Okay. Any comment?
I'll just say, okay, I know how things can affect where you're going and where you're moving to. In my experiences from high school, you see that the friends you had with my former and two, they were negative, so they're moving to the level. But then the friends you had were co-A-level. Your friends, especially for me, the friends I had now A-level, were people, so friends are not doing.
Over to you, Mason.
So my name is Omani Donsa, and I'm head in Attitude. And my experience today was a very excellent one because I got to learn how to identify my strengths and my weaknesses, and also how my strengths sometimes can be my weaknesses. Yeah, that's what I learned today.
Oh, thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Lillian Gondo. I'm a supporting leader for Ignite Youth Organization. Today we had a purpose curriculum which we're talking about basically how we view our lives, who we are, and what we want to do in the next maybe 10 years or 15 years, or even now, who we want to be now. What I learned today is what really got to me is the matter of depression and mental health. I think it's one of the most interesting topics that is happening or that is really popping out in the streets currently. So I really learned a lot how we are supposed to socialize with people around us, how we're supposed to get to understand how other people are living their lives and how better we can blend in with them. I hope you're going to be part of us anytime soon, or even the next 2 years, anytime that you feel like you're about to start venturing and be adventurous with your own life. Thank you.
Passionately